In this video, I'm going to show you a quick test with our services, whatever we have deployed so far. So first of all, you need to get the external IP or the URL for associated with our services. So we got 4 services, which is basically exposed using external IP. So for auth service, for order service, for query service, shipment, and stock service. Actually, 5 services, including auth as well. So what we need to do is you need to record all these 5 URL when you actually access those services. So the test, what we're going to do is a very simple sanity test to make sure that everything working fine. We are able to store data. We will be able to communicate using Kafka and those kind of things. So for that, I'm actually going to use a Postman. And the first thing I'm going to do is basically to get the token. So for getting the token, there are a few things which we need to do it, which I will also provide in my Git repository, and there will be a README file which explain how to actually get the token. But here, if you wanted to use a Postman, you can provide the username and password. You can provide the header, and in the body a grant type, and using the correct URL, which I am actually using, you can just click send and you get the token back. Now this token will be used by all other services like order service, shipment, and stock for communication. So I'm just going to copy this service, and the first thing we're going to do is basically to create some inventory or create some stock using our stock service so that we can use those stock when we create the order. So we go to the stock service. I have this sample inventory body created, and then what I will do is I will just use the token, the one which we just got it. Will replace the old one, and the body looks fine, and I'm going to just post that inventory, and I got the 201 created, which means that inventory has been added. Now 2 things we need to do is when we create the order, of course change um, we need to change the in token access token, which I'm going to just replace. The next thing we need to do in the body, we need to use the correct SKU, which is basically the product ID or the stock ID. So in my stock service, this is what I actually added. So I'm going to just use the same here, and all other things looks fine. Date, vehicle number, everything is fine. It's simple. There's nothing complex here. So I'm just gonna send this body to order service. I got 201 created, and I got the location as well, which basically having a order ID, which I'm gonna use and see what are the events happen during the creation in order service. So I go to the next tab where I already configured a URL. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna replace this order ID. This is the old one, and I also need to replace token. um, I mean, this is just a sanity test. That's what we are doing this manually, but we will once we actually complete the whole deployment, we will automate the all these steps as well, so we don't need to really do these copy and paste. So okay, so I go to the order events. I just go and change the token. Yeah, sorry, it's this one, and then we'll see what happened here. Okay, we haven't changed. I think there is a problem with the ID I copied. So let me just go and get the correct ID here. This looks right. Yeah, yeah, and we got events. So we got the first events, which is order created events with all the details. Then we got the stock inquiry created event. So we are checking with stock service whether the stock is available or not. And then finally we got the order placed event. So based on the stock, order service has now placed the order for shipment. We can also use our query service, which is this one, with the correct order ID, and obviously we need to change the token. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna recreate the token because sometimes it expires within few seconds. So let's just use the new one, and then we can see what's actually happening in terms of the order, because order events is more kind of deltas, but the query service provide more kind of a you consumer view, which consumer can understand instead of going through all the different events. So yeah, so in this case, this particular event's got all the information, and if you see the status here, it is actually showing order shipped, which means the shipment is created. Now the final task what we need to do is basically we need to manually close shipment. So we're gonna use the shipment service, and using the order. So one thing I forgot to mention, the most important thing here in the query service is to actually note down the shipment ID. So the shipment ID we are going to use to close the shipment. So in the shipment service, we, instead of providing the order ID, because order ID is not exposed to the shipment, it's only the shipment ID which is exposed, we will actually provide the shipment ID. And obviously we need to go back and get the correct token, and we're going to replace the token in the shipment service with the correct one, and it should be okay. Yeah, so we got 200. Okay, and then we go back to our query service, and the status now should say close. So if I submit this request again, it should say close. Yeah, and it says so. It looks like everything working fine so far. We were able to deploy Kafka, we were able to deploy multiple instances of Postgres, and we got 5 Spring Boot services working, connecting to Kafka, connecting to Postgres. So everything looks fine. So I think that completes our testing. Thank you very much for watching. See you later.